Hey there, welcome to the show. I was recently approached by the leader of the men's group of the church that I attend, St. Mary's Greek Orthodox Church in Minneapolis, with an idea. And the idea was to interview me in front of the other men in our bi-weekly meeting. The whole idea was to get to know members of the group on a little bit deeper level than you would ordinarily with just a typical Bible study and the light discussion type of format. And so that's what we did. The leader of the men's group is Deacon Steve Wehr. And Steve interviewed me and just picked my brain and just asked me some questions about my personal history, how I became interested in and was baptized into the Orthodox Church. And we ended up being a very interesting conversation. I was able to record it, audio only. I don't have any video. But I wanted to put it on the podcast because I know that some people listen to the show and they don't know me as a person very well. Well, this is a great opportunity to do so. So this is Deacon Steve Wehr interviewing me, and you also hear some other voices from some of the other men in the group. But it's a very good discussion, and I'm happy to share it with you.
Discussion guide / whatever, but we're not going to hit all these questions. But James and I talked about a few things to go over, and James had a few favorite questions that I'll focus on. One thing I thought I would just ask James as we start is, tell me about where did you grow up, and tell me about your upbringing and your family. I don't think we know that story. I feel like I know a little bit about Norfolk and a little bit about your service, but say more.
No, I grew up right here in the Twin Cities.
Yeah.
Spent most of my childhood in Eden Prairie and Brooklyn Park.
Yeah.
We moved to Eden Prairie when I was in the 3rd grade, and then moved up to Brooklyn Park when I was entering the 10th grade.
Wow.
And then went to high school up to Anoka High School and then Champlin Park when they opened it.
Okay. Because Anoka that's still one of the largest districts in the state, isn't it? Yeah.
It's among the largest.
Yeah. Very big.
But they opened Champlin
Yep.
when I was entering the 11th grade. So
Okay.
I went to Anoka, Eden Prairie for 1 year, Anoka 1 year, and then Champlin for 2.
Yeah. And was your family, was there any faith tradition, or what was the focus of
It was like a Protestant. I think my parents grew up Lutheran.
Yeah.
Both of them grew up Lutheran, and they were burned out with Lutheran. I don't know that much about Lutheranism.
Yeah.
But it's just, they're very strict.
The kind that they were, at least. Yeah.
Yeah. Very rigid. These are the rules.
Yeah.
Like Wisconsin Senate or something?
I don't know. Probably.
The denominations were all different back then too.
Yeah, I know
Except
about
Wisconsin.
Which one is the strict one? Wisconsin or Missouri?
Wisconsin is the strictest, and then Missouri Senate would be second, but I don't think they're quite as strict
at
as
any
the
rate,
state.
they were burned out, so they didn't want the organized Protestantism, so they went to the big mega churches.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So that was my upbringing as far as Christianity goes.
Yeah. And then we talked previously about the fact you've been in the service. It was in the Navy. Army. Sorry. Oops, I missed that. Did you enlist right away? Did you go in, or right from high school? Or
Right from high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
And tell me about that. How long were you in the service?
I did 2 different stints in the military. One was right after high school. I went to basic training in 1994, and then did 4 years in the Army.
Yep.
As a musician. Played trumpet in the Army band. So I went to Fort Stewart, which is interesting because my motivation for joining the Army, specifically in the music field, was to avoid the Army.
Did you manage it?
Avoid war, you mean?
Huh?
Avoid war, you mean?
Avoid basically being
Deployed.
a soldier.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to be a musician. So my duty station was Fort Stewart, Georgia, which was the home of the 24th Infantry Division, which was the most active as far as being the military. If you want to avoid the military, that's where you don't want to go. I'll just say that. So the bands have there's a hierarchy.
Yeah.
With the musicians in the Army, and the big special bands are all in Washington, D.C. So if you can get one of those, then you can avoid the appearance of being a soldier, right? But I went to Fort Stewart, which was they were very gung-ho about soldier, which is good for me. I didn't enjoy it at the time, but it was good in hindsight because it got me out of my comfort zone and got me. Whenever you're out of your comfort zone, you attempt things or you are forced to try things that you ordinarily wouldn't, and you discover things about yourself.
So let me follow up on that. So what did you discover? What have you taken away, maybe is another way of asking that same question, from your military service? What do you think were one of the things that really stand out?
My motivation was always to be a musician. It was always I had the attitude of, I will do what is asked of me and expected of me as far as this non-musical stuff. And I'll do my best at it. And I'm going to give you my best effort at it. But I entered the military to be a musician. That's why I'm here. And so that was always my forte. I was always practicing.
Yeah.
And I practiced more than everybody else in the band. And I developed a reputation of being the go-to guy when they needed a soloist to play trumpet for something. I would be the guy that they called.
Yeah. And what kinds of events would you have played in?
The military uses a lot of music.
Yeah.
So there's a ceremony that needs a band, they'll call us. There's social functions where they use music. We did a lot of concerts.
Did you go all over the place, like all over the country? Or?
No, it was very regional. So we would travel around Georgia, but very rarely would go outside of Georgia. But
Like Fort Benning. What is it? Bennington? What's it?
I think we went to Benning a couple of times.
Benning, yeah.
Yeah, but it was all like Southeast Georgia.
Yeah.
All our traveling. So we would do a little bit, but within a very strict zone.
Yeah.
But that was always my priority, was always the music. And then it got to the point where I got out and then went back in 10 years later. And it was, again, the same situation where I just, like, I'm here to be a musician.
Yep.
And it got to the point where if I realized if I'm going to advance up the ranks, they're going to expect me to put this thing that's important to me to the side and take on some of these non-musical things. And that's when I realized I've hit my shelf life.
Yeah.
So decision was made to leave.
Yeah. Got it.
Which contributed to the demise of my first marriage.
Yeah.
But among other things.
Yeah.
But that's life.
So after service, you got married, but then you've also lived places all over the world, including, as we've heard before, Vietnam and other places. Say more about that.
Sure. I moved to Hawaii in 2006 to get married the first time. And it was there that I re-entered the military in 2008 and went from there to Kentucky, back to Georgia, North Carolina, and Korea, where my son was born. And then exited the military in Korea. And the question.
No, yeah, just you've lived other places, and you've lived in Vietnam. And yeah.
So when I exited the military, we first relocated here to the Twin Cities because I knew this area. I had family here.
Yeah.
We ended up going back to North Carolina because my first wife and I were involved in a Messianic Jewish synagogue because she was raised Jewish. And so she had become a Christian before we met. And then, so the Messianic Jewish thing, I don't know if you know anything about that, but it's like a Jewish lifestyle, but they embrace Jesus as the Messiah. That's the Messianic in a nutshell. So she liked it because it was her upbringing in a Christian context. And I was happy to support her. And I learned a lot of good things from it, from the experience.
Yeah.
And so that's why we moved back to North Carolina. And that's when we started to have some real issues in our marriage. There was just a lot of tension. We ended up moving to Virginia Beach, where she got a job, and that's where our marriage dissolved, was Virginia Beach, shortly after we both relocated there.
Yeah.
So that was 2018 that we separated.
Yeah.
And shortly after we separated, I met my current wife, Sana, via the internet. And she lived in Vietnam at the time. And so I don't know, it's one of those things. Men know instantly, this is the woman. Women don't always know that right away. They take time to realize that, but it's like, this is the woman I want to spend the rest of my life with. And so I moved to Vietnam.
So how did you relocate back to the U.S.? I'm sure there was a visa process. She's from Iran originally. She's also Christian, but what was that like to move back here? How did that must have been a long process, I bet.
It was a long process. And so when we first met, that one was when Mr. Trump's travel ban was in effect.
Oh, yeah. And
so
Iran is on that list.
it
She's
was
an
on that
Iranian
list.
citizen.
It was on that list. So it was a big risk to go over there. And because I wasn't sure if she'd be able to come to the United States because of that travel ban.
Yep.
And then Biden became president. First day he's in office, he lifts the travel ban.
Yeah.
So that problem is solved. But now we've got this issue of going through there's this whole process of getting a visa for a spouse. There's a fiancé visa and then there's a spousal visa. The spousal visa is stronger for obvious reasons. And so we got married both because we both wanted to be married. It was also, if we get married, then we have a stronger case of getting her to the United States.
Yeah.
So that wasn't the reason we got married, but I think it was the reason we got married when we did.
So then at what point did you discover Orthodoxy?
I discovered Orthodoxy through my work. My primary work is podcasts.
Yeah.
And audiobooks, publishing. And so I encountered Orthodoxy through an audiobook that I narrated.
Oh.
I was narrating an audiobook. I found this thing on Audible where they have this thing where they match narrators with authors.
Oh.
And so I just went on there and I just got matched with this author who had written this book. It's a terrible book. I would never recommend it.
But it's a book on Orthodoxy?
No.
Oh.
It was I don't even want to
get into it.
It's a really bad book.
Okay.
I would give a high school sophomore a C+.
Yeah.
Solid effort for a high school kid, but terrible writer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm forcing myself through this audiobook, but one of the secondary characters was an Orthodox priest, Russian Orthodox priest, who was like the mentor to one of the main characters. And the way that this priest was portrayed was different from how I had understood this high church, Catholic and
maybe Episcopalian or whatever.
Episcopalian, those types of things. Anything with a priest or a robe, I had been programmed to believe is stale, stagnant. They don't have any life. They don't have anything to offer. But this was very different from what I had understood about that type of clergy. This is in 2020 or 2019.
Yeah.
And COVID hit right after that. So it interested me enough to think maybe I should try out that Orthodox church I've seen in Virginia Beach, right by Trader Joe's. So I thought maybe I might try it out. And I ultimately did not, because I was traveling between Virginia and Vietnam at the time. And it just didn't work out.
Yep.
Didn't work out. 2 years later, I am not narrating, but producing an audiobook. And this was a book on parenting. And the primary author had invited a number of people to share their own views on parenting. And one of the people that he invited for this project was his own father, Gary Greenfield. And he had converted from hardcore Calvinist, real strict, rigid down the line, got no gray zones whatsoever. He had escaped that and discovered Orthodoxy. And the way he talked about Orthodoxy was just, I was sold. I said, I missed the boat the first time, but this is a sign. I'm going to embrace Orthodoxy. People ask, when did you become an Orthodox Christian? I think that's when I decided I'm going to.
What year was that again?
23.
Okay. I remember when you started coming here. You were in the pews a long time. You came and.
So I did that project in 23.
Yep.
And I was singing in the choir at the Presbyterian church down there. So I thought I've committed to singing through the end of the spring or whatever it was. So I'm going to do this. But once I'm done with this commitment, that's it. I'm going to the Orthodox Church. I just made up my mind. And
so before you had ever been in a church?
An Orthodox church.
Wow.
Yeah. So I went to the church and it was completely foreign. everything.
Which church, James?
This
In
is
Virginia?
St. Nicholas in Virginia Beach,
Ah,
right next to Trader Joe's.
okay.
The one that you first scoped out.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah.
a good part to the story.
And I just decided this is my identity as a Christian for the rest of my life.
Wow.
So I went through the catechism.
You did this with the wife. You did this with the church too, huh? Boom. I know this is the one.
That's right. That's right.
It's interesting.
And so we relocated here later that year.
Yeah.
And that's when I started coming here
Okay.
in late 23.
Okay.
And then got baptized into the Orthodox Church down there.
Okay. Yeah.
Just because I'd been through the catechism down there and
Yeah.
knew it. I was able to have my son down there for the baptism, which I wanted.
And now now you host podcasts, and are they about Orthodoxy? They're about some maybe politics. I'm not exactly sure. I've seen one or two, but tell me more. Tell the guys so they know.
For a long time, I've made my living producing people's podcasts. People would have a show on whatever, and they'd send this stuff over to me, and I'd get it ready and publish it. But it's all in their name. And that they paid the bills for a little while, but it was, as far as my own personal creative fulfillment, it was very limited.
Yeah.
So I decided clients, they come and go. More clients were going than coming. And I decided I'm not going to advertise myself anymore into the specific thing of trying to work with other people and get their own shows. I'm not going to do that. The last client left late last year, but now my primary focus now is to produce stuff that is under my own name. And it's not making in money at the moment, but the goal is to just build an audience around things that are important to me, among which are politics and Orthodox Christianity. So also trumpet. I'm doing some things around that as well. So that's my big picture. Build something that reflects really what's important to me with my
You
own
make
little
money
business.
on podcasts and making your own podcasts, and you get a larger crowd. And how does money trickle back to you? Or that
There's so many ways.
is there?
There's
Okay.
so many ways. And the quick answer is to get people to listen,
Yeah.
and then you sell stuff to them.
Okay.
Either your own things.
Oh,
or-
just like all the YouTube stuff I watch on nutrition, because they're always selling some product.
Yeah. Or there'll be a
Right.
sponsor. So and so
get at
says, yeah.
an
Okay.
outside sponsor. You can sell your own stuff if you've got it. You can. There's so many ways, but it does take a lot of time,
Yeah.
a lot of patience, and you just have to stick with it.
Yeah.
Just like anything worth doing. So
Nice.
How old are you?
I'll be 50 in 2 months.
Okay.
Young buck. I can say that.
Around here, that's for sure.
Well, how old is your son now?
He's
Yeah.
12.
I was just going to follow up. Go ahead. Yeah.
Gabriel
Oh,
is 12.
I think it's interesting that
Gabriel.
Yeah. Gabriel. Good name.
yeah, that's a good name.
I thought you'd agree.
There's not a lot of Orthodox Gabriels. It's Greek.
Yeah.
It's not a name you speak very much to Greek. I think it's interesting that a lot of people are drawn to the Orthodox Church through their heart. They warm up, they come in, they feel something, and then it goes up here. You're the opposite. And I think that's really interesting that the church appeals by virtue of its structure to someone who's a thinker like James. This church probably knew the history, probably got the idea that this has to be it, even though I haven't been there. And then you came, and obviously that you warmed up as well. Kind of the heart and the mind. The church appeals to both. And I think that's the beauty of Orthodoxy. You can come into Orthodoxy like my yaya, who was just illiterate, had no idea of the technicalities of scripture or services, but knew things by heart that she could just repeat and was very prayerful. Whenever I think of her, I see her in front of an icon with a candle, their head bowed, murmuring. But you would be coming into this. I think that's where we all need to end up, by the way. But you came in through your brain and your thinking and your logical approach to life. And I think I've never heard anyone say what you just said about coming to the church in that way. I think that's really encouraging to me,
Yeah.
that our church is not just of the heart, nor is it just of the mind. And they're inseparable, and it appeals to both. It's really
I would say it was both. Like I heard or read this guy's testimony, and it was just like, it was the head knowledge just confirming with the heart. This is what my heart is wanting. It was
But you
prayed-
never had been in a church. That's what I think is
Exactly.
But so maybe you're right. Maybe the warmth comes from just being convinced in your spirit that
Yeah.
that's where I need to be. That's a great story. It's just a great story.
Yeah.
I would love to hear more about your wife and what she's up to and how she views your journey in Orthodoxy. And
Let's take time to still do
Sure.
that. Tell us about Sana. Yeah.
Sauna.
she's a wonderful woman, by the way. She's got a real nice countenance. You're drawn to her. She seems like a friend right away. Anyway,
I agree with that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I think it was just the first time after we spoke on video call. I think my mom was visiting Virginia right around the time that I first talked to her. And I talked to my mom. We went out for dinner with Gabriel, who was 4 years old at the time. And I told her, I think I found somebody.
Yeah.
And then a week later, we had another call and we were on the phone for 3 hours, right? And I just knew that this is it. And my job in life was to get this woman to marry me. That was my job.
That's your mission.
Yeah.
So is she Vietnamese or is she?
No, she's Iranian.
Oh, she's Iranian.
Yeah. She was teaching in Vietnam when we met.
Okay.
But I think she respects me as the leader of the family, as the spiritual head of the family. But as far as embracing, and I think if I were to insist that she get baptized in the church, she would do it.
Yeah.
But I don't want to insist on that and say, this is what you're going to do, because you have to allow free will and allow her to come to it in her own terms, just like I did.
Are you about the same age?
I'm 4 years older.
She was born in Iran?
Yeah.
So about the time of the revolution.
Shortly
If
after.
I'm doing my math right.
Shortly after, just a couple of years after.
So I wonder if that had some influence on it too.
Yeah. As far as what?
Was she, to be Christian after the revolution would have been pretty hard.
So probably not easy before either, but
Somewhat easier before. But
yeah, somewhat easier,
certainly more
but still.
Well, the Christians before the revolution would have been not shunned. Certainly wouldn't have been the stigma that they have.
That's my point. Yeah.
But there is Orthodox churches in Iran right now that are holding liturgies to this day.
Yeah.
So in some ways, the regime is tolerant of Christianity, but it has to be a Christianity that they approve of, like a state-approved
Yeah.
Christianity.
Like in China, they're picking the Catholic bishops, right?
Yeah.
Not quite that strong, but they have to understand it and has to be officially
Have to
recognized.
be loyal to the state.
Yeah.
Same in Turkey.
So if she embraces it, then she will when she's ready for it. Just like it didn't happen with me overnight.
Yeah. Can our wives ever play a role? Do you feel like she's got to know any of the women at the church, or if
She comes from an Eastern background.
Yeah.
So her mindset and the Eastern Christian mindset are very similar.
Yeah.
So I think if she were to embrace it, she would fit like a hand in a glove.
I would bet that's the case. Yeah.
Her mindset, the way she was raised, is it's not different from the mindset here at the church.
Think of people, either Greeks who grew up in Turkey itself, or let's say Egyptians who grew up. We have a lot of Copts in the church too, who lived under Islam and are strong. They have very vibrant faith, and I could see some commonality in those experiences as well.
That's a very interesting story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
James,
Lots to
thank you.
talk about.
Okay, if we have a men's group
Well,
that's
it
at
had been
night,
boring, guys.
we may have you. Would you engage us with your trumpet at some point if we had an evening gathering sometime? Just some piece.
Might be a little loud in the morning in here.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Play Reveille.
Yeah, sometimes I might need you for Reveille because I can look around. There's a lot of sleepiness.
I would love to be a car salesman and you came in and I'd be the manager and they'd say, that guy, he knows exactly which car you and he's going to get it one way or the other.
Yeah.
So raise the price really high. Because this guy's not
This
leaving
guy's
without-
He's leaving with a car.
He's leaving with the car.
This brother is
and
sold.
he wants it. And he knows what he wants.
This brother is sold. I love it.
That's good.
Yeah. Good. James, thanks for
Yeah, thank you,
being,
James.
Yeah.
we kind of guinea pigged this together to see what it would be like. But
Of course, you're setting the bar this high for the rest of us.
everybody's, you know what? I literally just thought about James. James, you and I have had a lot of different talks over the years. And I literally just sat down and going, he brought his dog one time. I knew you had a dog, Gabriel, and I knew a few things about him, your ex-wife's tradition, faith tradition. And so that's what I did. But you don't have to be that. You could just ask generally. If you know somebody's a convert, you could say, tell me about how you got here. So the bar doesn't need to be so high. It's just more getting people talking. And then we get to ask questions too, as we all did. So, which is cool.
Yeah.
So-
So the first 20 years of my life, maybe 25 being at Cradle Orthodox,
Yeah.
there were no converts. There were, but there was like one guy over there. And now it's half the church or more. And I think it's really interesting because we, as young men in Orthodoxy, just thought this is our church. It's a church that came over. We keep the strangers out because it's Greek and all that. And that has faded out, and that's a beautiful thing.